The story of war is written on the faces. A grieving widow, a motherless child, an exhausted firefighter, and this face, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the day he went to Bucha, aged in an instant by what he'd seen. It was a transformative moment. Every day we find people in barrels, caves, strangled, tortured, he told reporters that day. The horror of Bucha stiffened the spine of the West. The weapons came faster, and they're more powerful now. Putin's veiled threats of nuclear retaliation seem less frightening, outweighed by the moral imperative to respond to the atrocities. And it completed the transformation of Zelenskyy. From the lighthearted leader he was when he came to power 3 years ago, a lightness still there in Kyiv in the early days of the war, into the personification of grim determination. A woman he met in Bucha put it this way: Volodymyr, thank you for staying with the people, for not leaving, she says. Everyone is grateful to you, so you know. Zelenskyy responds, you did a great job. You have withstood it. Withstood, but like their president, forever changed.
Newsy correspondent Jason Bellini is joining us tonight from Kyiv and also from Ukraine. Member of Parliament Lisa Yasko, a member of the President's Party, servant of the people. Thank you both for being here. Jason, you just got back to Ukraine after 2 weeks away. Does it feel any different?
Hi there, Chance. Well, it certainly appears to be different. I noticed it first at the border with Poland, where it's not the chaotic scene that we were seeing just a couple of weeks ago. But the other thing is we're seeing people coming back across the border into Ukraine, and more people are saying they're ready to go back to Kyiv, even though the government here, the local government, is saying, no, not so fast, we're not ready for it, and I can see why. On the highways coming into the city, we have to go around bridges that have been destroyed. There's a lot of work to be done before all these cars can come back. And there's still the open question of whether this really is a safe place to be. And we heard air raid sirens here in Kyiv today, and those are still a frequent occurrence here. And even though the focus of Russia's next campaign is further east, this is still regarded as the grand prize, and so further strikes are not out of the question here, Chance.
Yeah, Jason, because we've seen in recent days, Kyiv, Lviv, they've been the target of some shellings. But Lisa, we have seen much of the energy move to the eastern region. A lot of people have questioned why Russia hasn't made a more decisive win there, an overwhelming win when they expected to. They've had a few weeks concentrating there. President Zelenskyy has been in office 3 years. He's more battle-tested than probably any other world leader at this point. Where is he taking this fight next?
First of all, I'm sure that 3 years ago when he was becoming the president, he would never imagine that such horrors would happen to Ukraine. Because imagining such atrocities that are committed by President Putin and Russia, these war crimes against Ukrainian society is unbelievable, and anyone with a common sense and with a human values cannot just believe that. Regarding the next step, all of our next steps are about our fight for our existence, for defending Ukraine and our lives and our families. It's very existential, you know. Most of us, we lost our homes, or we're not able to go there, or we have friends who lost their homes, so it concerns everyone. Today we've heard terrible news about Mariupol, because many days and weeks we know that the situation there is really bad, and there are thousands of victims, but today we've got more confirmation that probably the number of those who were killed is like 20,000 or something, which is a real genocide.
Is President Zelenskyy wavering at all, Lisa? He seemed to back off of NATO membership. He was floating the idea of maybe an independent Donbas region. He was saying this kind of indirectly. But then more recently, he seems to be hardening again in a way, saying, no, we are going to win this, period. Which is it?
Well, there cannot be any compromise about the territory of Ukraine. This is very important to understand. We pay a huge price every day with our lives, so it cannot be solved like giving away a part of the territory of Ukraine to Russia and then the peace for many, many reasons. And the second thing is about our security alliance status. Well, I think there could be some negotiations, and currently we're not hiding that Ukraine is considering and having different negotiations to find a new formula, a new agreement with our partners who would give real guarantees of our security in the future, not only on paper, but the real.
Jason, phase 2 of the war is underway. Residents in the Donbas are being warned to leave, saying, get out of there. A few days ago, we thought 10,000 people died in Mariupol. Now we're hearing maybe 20,000 people died there. Can citizens in Donbas get out? What's happening to the most vulnerable?
Well, Chance, it really depends on what town you're talking about, because in some areas it really is already too late, where they're just surrounded in some cases by Russian forces. And in fact, there are some cities that are towns that the Russians are saying that they now occupy. There's certainly an aggressive campaign to get people out who want to get out. They've been warned for weeks now, and the tenor of those warnings has been heightening and heightening as Russia's been building up its forces, because it really looks like this is going to get very ugly. And now it seems everyone in this country is aware of what's happening in Mariupol, what's happening in Bucha, and the urgency of getting out while you can get out. And so they've actually been sending in armored vehicles to some towns, and people will scurry in. They'll emerge from their basements, hop in and take off. That's the kind of evacuation we're looking at here. It's not, in some places, it's not just get in your car and, okay, it's now time to go, and because in some cases they're cut off from the west. The highways are cut off, and so there have actually been quite a number of evacuees who've ended up in Russia, and their situation, there's not a lot of reporting on that right now.
You know, the president still has to go out every single day and face the public, face Ukrainians and say, let's do it, guys. We've got to win this. We've seen other world leaders travel to Kyiv, walk the streets with your president, lock arms with him in pictures, break bread in the compound. Is that fortifying in a way? What is his mindset right now?
President Zelenskyy represents the spirit of Ukrainian people right now, our fight. It's very unique that even those who were very critical of the President Zelenskyy before, and the opposition representatives, for example, they now support Zelenskyy at all. All of them are saying that he is very brave. He's showing so much courage for the country, and that, of course, we respect that a lot. He's very determined to reach peace, but with real fights to win all justice finally. We believe that the love, the kindness and the peace should win one day, and that these words of never again that we say after the Second World War will really become never again.
Lisa, final thing I'd ask you. President Zelenskyy told the nation 3 years ago when he won this office, I will not let you down. Has he kept his word?
Especially right now, of course. Of course, as I said, he had huge support. Because he represents the national unity right now. And in the time of war, with such terrible tragedy that is happening in our country, we couldn't imagine anyone more brave at this moment than President.
Jason Bellini, Lisa Yasko, thank you both, and please stay safe.